Hello friends, welcome back to the happiest and saddest June of my life as D2 is receiving its final major content update this week on June 9th called Monument of Triumph. A lot will be changing. Bungie has given us several articles that are insanely long, and if you don't want to spend hours reading 10,000 pages, I got you. In today's video, I'll just be giving you a TLDR of every major change coming in Monument of Triumph, starting with the return of the directory. Yep, you heard that right. The directory is back in all its beautiful glory. The community have made their voices heard, the portal is confusing, and it doesn't have the same feeling of whimsy that the directory had, so the directory is now back. The portal isn't completely dead, more on that in a minute, but you'll be able to look at all the destinations in space as God intended. Also, both Kepler and the Lawless Frontier will both be getting their own individual locations. And on that note, Overhaul to the portal, but it is in the background now. Again, the infamous portal is still in the game, but it won't be front and center like the directory. If you look down at the bottom of the directory, you'll actually be able to see all the portal icons lined up in a row. That is how you'll be able to access it. And if you've been gone from D2 for a really long time and you're asking yourself, what the hell is the portal? Good God, just don't worry about that right now. I'll scare you with that bedtime story another night. Gambit will now have its own portal category with updated scoring. Dungeon Ops is being taken out of the portal, and that space will be turned into a space where you can quickly find and play full raid and dungeon content. Bungie has also overhauled the quality of life and the rewards of portal activities to a hopefully more straightforward system. Reward ranks now correspond directly to their difficulty, aka completing an activity on normal difficulty and getting a reward rank C will give you Tier 1 rewards. Likewise, completing an activity on Grandmaster difficulty and getting a reward rank S will grant you Tier 5 rewards. You'll be able to tweak things a little bit if you wish, aka if you play at Master rank and just add a few modifiers on, you'll be able to earn an S reward rank and still earn Tier 5 gear. I get it, it might sound a little bit confusing if you've been out of the game for a while, but it shouldn't be as massive of a headache as it was before. By the way, if you want more information regarding the reward tiers in the portal, I will have a link to the corresponding Bungie article down in the pinned comment of today's video. And keep that in mind for everything we go over today. I'm going to have all relevant links down in the pinned comments so you can dig deeper into them later if you want to. Next up, Raid and Dungeon Loot Overhaul. If you didn't hear, all destinations, dungeons, and raids have had their loot pools refreshed to the tier system for both weapons and armor. On the destination side of things, as mentioned, all destination gear is being updated to the tier system. On top of that, they're updating the world loot pool to include select weapons from previous seasons corresponding to each pre-Edge of Fate location. For example, the 7th Seraph shotgun from Warmind, the Pluperfect auto rifle from Undying, and the high albedo sidearm from Europa, which by the way has now been turned into a rocket sidearm, which is a big update. Again, as also mentioned, all dungeon and raid loot are being upgraded into the tier system and getting their own unique origin traits if they didn't have them before. Basically, all old dungeon and raid loot is being pulled up into the modern era, so get out there and farm till your heart's content. And on that note, weapon tiers can now be upgraded manually. Yeah, you heard that correctly. Any lower tier weapon you might have will now be able to be manually upgraded all the way up to Tier 5 if you want it to be. Of course, it's going to cost you some material in order to be able to do that. You won't just be able to upgrade it for free. But yeah, if you have a low tier weapon that you really like and you just wish you could beef it up to Tier 5, you will now be able to. On that same note, crafted weapons are also being given an upgrade path. Meaning, if you have a crafted weapon that you really like, you'll be able to pay materials to upgrade your crafted weapon into a Tier 5 weapon if you want. Take note that doing that won't add more perks onto your crafted weapon, but you'll get all the other benefits that a regular Tier 5 weapon has. Moving on, the new Distortion activity. It wouldn't be a D2 content drop without a new activity, and that is where Distortion comes in. Distortions are basically a new challenging event that happens in patrol zones. From Bungie, quote, every hour a different destination becomes the focus of distortions. The sky tears open, reality distorts, and corruption tension spreads. While distorted, the planet's enemies are empowered and more fearsome. Distortion seem to be fairly rewarding, as Bungie claims they are, quote, making distortions uniquely rewarding by providing a new weapon set players can earn in these new events, and to balance the increased challenge of distorted enemies, you'll see higher gear tier awarded from playing public events. If you want to know where the next distortion wave is appearing, it seems you'll be able to do that pretty easily from the directory. It should let you know when a distortion is corrupting any given planet. Next up, returning and updated game modes. If you remember a while back, the Destiny community got Pantheon, which was a unique raid challenge that let players go through a hodgepodge of different raid encounters, all handpicked by Bungie. It landed really well with the community, and now after all this time, we are finally getting Pantheon 2.0. And unlike Pantheon's temporary appearance with Into the Light, Pantheon 2.0 is going to be a permanent addition with Monument of Triumphs. The encounters are all going to be handpicked from previous raids, but it looks like at the very least we will be getting Callus, Galrin, and Argos. I'm assuming there will be more than just those three, but we will see. In addition to Pantheon 2.0, we are getting SRL, aka Sparrow Racing League, a game type back from the end of D1 that I really loved. If you never played D1, this is literally a racing game type against other Guardians with everybody on Sparrows. This is a permanent game mode, by the way, and you can race with either Sparrows or Skimmers. There are returning maps, a new map, and a whole unique weapon and armor set, along with unique origin traits and set bonuses. And yup, Sparrow Horns are coming back too. Another returning activity is Heavy Metal, which if you never tried is kind of a silly alternate PvP mode where you're in control of a giant tank or fallen mech and everybody's just blasting the hell out of each other. Apparently the Cabal Walker from Renegades will now be joining the roster too. Neat. Next up, improvements to Onslaught, Coil, and Contest of Elders. There have been major improvements to what Bungie is calling crawl activities, aka Onslaught, Coil, and Contest of Elders. Revive tokens are no longer a thing in these activities, which should make it way more approachable to the average player, and all three activities will now escalate to the difficulty level you've chosen rather than straight up beginning at that difficulty level right out the gate. They've also brought back the Brave Arsenal from Into the Light forward into Onslaught's reward pool, as well as the World Loot pool to the Coil and Contest of Elders rewards, alongside Pinnacle drops. Each of these playlists will feature holofoil variants as well. Moving on, exotic catalysts added for every exotic that doesn't have one. Yes indeed, as you may remember, we've had a number of exotic weapons in the history of D2 that just never got an exotic catalyst. Well, now that we're coming to the end of the road, the weapons team is giving every exotic weapon in the game an exotic catalyst if it doesn't already have one. If an exotic weapon has a catalyst in the form of just getting a minor stat boost, that weapon will basically be getting a weapon perk as its exotic catalyst, in addition to keeping that stat boost. Oh, and of course, there's going to be new exotic weapons too. I ain't going to spoil what they are, but just know that one of them was shown in the latest Monument of Triumph trailer, and obviously I'll be doing reviews of those exotic weapons, so be sure to ring the bell and not miss those videos. Next up, changes to the Crucible. Don't expect anything major or groundbreaking here, but the TLDR is that the Crucible is getting consolidated into Crucible ops to better focus population and better help with overall matchmaking quality. From now on, we'll have 6 nodes active for different game modes: Control, Rumble, Quick Play, Small Team Quick Play, Sparrow Racing League, and Private Matches. Trials of Osiris will still be playable every Friday, provided it is not already an Iron Banner week, and maps will permanently work on 3-map rotation every weekend, chosen from 3 different pools to ensure a less repetitive experience week over week. The weapon drops will also be focused into different pools each week, with the Lighthouse getting its own exclusive focus pool rather than just being one singular weapon each week. Iron Banner will also still be around. It'll show up every 4 weeks and will come with 2 versions, Iron Banner Control and Iron Banner Quick Play, which will rotate between Tribute, Fortress, and Eruption. We're also getting a new PvP game mode called Arena Collision. It'll be a 4v4 mode with special weapons, powered melees, and supers all pretty much disabled. Basically, in a nutshell, it is meant to put more focus on standard gunplay and map knowledge. Seems kind of interesting, and it's been a while since we've gotten a new PvP mode, so I'm here for it. We're also going to be able to play SRL and Heavy Metal in private matches if you want, along with 2 other new game modes. Glass Cannons, where the TLDR is you take more more damage from everything, and cooldowns are way longer, and software, where the TLDR is basically mayhem on crack, aka no weapons at all. Literally, you can only use abilities and supers, and the cooldowns are lightning fast. Trials, Iron Banner, and Comp will all receive one new weapon each, reprised and returning weapons, in addition to a brand new armor set. Sparrow Racing will be getting a whole batch of weapons as well as an armor set too. Next up, changes to Gambit. Yeah, you heard me, Gambit, aka Destiny's forgotten child. As mentioned earlier, it's getting its own node in the portal. And while the game mode itself isn't seeing any changes, Gambit is receiving a brand new set of armor with a set bonus and a whole arsenal of reprised, tiered weapons with a rework and improved origin trait. And by the way, that Gambit armor looks fire. I keep telling myself I'll never go back after all those 50 games videos, but I feel that armor calling out to me like the fucking Green Goblin. Anyway, fan favorite weapons like Spare Rations and 21% Delirium are making a return with refreshed perk pools, though you can still get 21% original Pinnacle combo. Good times. Next, changes to tower vendors and attuning. In Monument of Triumph, most of the tower vendors are all returning to their old reputation tracks, and you'll be able to focus for tiered gear at many vendors across the tower. This includes newly added gear, as well as gear from across the last several releases, including the Edge of Fate, Ashen Iron, and Renegades. Weapons will be focusable at only Tier 3 and Tier 4, depending on your power level, but remember, as I mentioned earlier, you can manually upgrade weapons to Tier 5 with materials if you want to. Also, do you remember Attuning, aka your ability to tell the game, hey, I really want to get this piece of gear in particular? Well, good news, you can now attune from anywhere, directly from your Guardian. Just open your inventory and head over to the accessories menu, hit attunement, and you can attune any piece of gear from 12 different activities. You can also attune different gear from different categories at the same time, aka you can have one attunement set for a certain item in Trials, while also attuning for a different item in Iron Banner at the same time. A truly wild quality of life change, and it should make hunting down a particular piece of gear way easier. Moving on, all new aspects and abilities. In the most recent TWID, they revealed all the new abilities and tuning coming in Monument of Triumph. It was a chunky read, but here is a brief TLDR on each class. Hunters are getting the following: a new solar aspect called Crackshot, where your hunter uses their class ability to basically summon a junior golden gun that will auto-target up to 3 nearby enemies. Landing all 3 shots will cure you, and the ability can be used in mid-air. A new void melee called Phantom Surge, where you dash forward and slash through enemies in front of you. This will generate an overshield on a hit and restores melee energy on a kill. And they're getting an update to Trapper's Ambush, the aspect. It will now use class ability energy instead of melee energy and grants Devour, yes, Devour, on a kill. Warlocks are getting the following: a new void aspect called Soul Siphon, basically a big suck that activates after hitting a target with your melee ability and then readies the ability to siphon energy from targets in front of you. It looks really cool. And a rework to the Mindspun Invocation aspect. Basically, charged Threadling grenades will now turn into a Threadling nest instead of perched Threadlings. Pretty much the same nest you can get from the Service of Luzaku exotic machine gun. Titans are getting the following: a new solar aspect called Shield Burst. Basically gives you the ability to push your tower barricade forward, which deals solar damage to anything in its path, and you can then make it explode. If you have a Rally Barricade equipped, it grants scorch damage to solar and kinetic weapons and can also explode if you wish. And a Ward of Dawn rework. Not only is it much larger now, but it can suck in nearby enemies upon activation and weakens targets inside. You can also, believe it or not, pick up the Ward of Dawn, carry it, and then throw it to a different location. All classes are also getting 2 new grenade options: a Stasis Shatter grenade that sticks to targets before exploding into shrapnel, and a Strand Sliceware grenade that bounces and releases multiple whirling threads. It also severs enemies for free. There's a lot more nitty-gritty you can read into if you want, including changes to Stasis Shards and the fact that Titans will now be able to use their Thruster class ability in mid-air. I highly recommend checking it out if you get a minute. Moving on, exotic armor reworks. First things first, moving forward, all exotic armor will have tier 5 stats and will have access to all tuning mods. That will apply retroactively to all Armor 3.0 exotics, other than what you can pull out of the Collections tab, of course, which is huge. There's also a lot of major reworks happening to a lot of pieces of exotic armor. For example, the Warlock Skull of Dire Ahamkara, which has been garbage for a long time now, is getting a huge rework that will basically allow you to briefly throw a second Nova Bomb. There are many awesome reworks coming, including to Shards of Galanor, no backup plans, and more. I don't want to make this video 3 hours long, so again, check the links down below for more info. And on the subject of armor, new armor archetypes. Yes, we are getting 6 additional archetypes to better focus stats for our armor. They've also refreshed every destination's armor set to the tier system and added a set bonus. And by the way, if you're looking for a TLDR of the TLDR, I would highly recommend farming for the all-new Powerhouse armor archetype, which has a primary focus on weapons and a secondary on super. That will obviously be very good in PvE, so keep an eye on that. Almost at the end, next up is every weapon can stop champions now. Because artifacts are changing going forward, and more on that in a minute, every legendary weapon and every exotic weapon in the game will now be capable of dealing with some kind of champion based on its weapon frame. For example, high impact frame weapons can now handle unstoppable champions, precision frame weapons can now handle barrier champions, and so on and so forth. The short version, though, is that champions are going to get dunked on starting June 9th, and hell yeah to that. Moving on, we get access to 7 artifacts now. With the final major content update to D2, Bungie is giving us the gift of 1,000 builds. In short, we are getting 7 artifacts to choose from interchangeably whenever the hell we want. A lot of the perks are big community favorites, and this basically opens the door really wide for players to have access to crazy build crafting options from here until the end of time. And on that note, more loadouts and more vault space. With access to all those artifact perks, Bungie is giving us more loadout slots, up to 20 total. So you'll have plenty of room to save all of your loadouts. And of course, more vault space. Even though we just got more, we are now getting 1,300 spots in your vault in total, which is great. And finally, Monument of Triumph rewards. There will be 4 plaques by the Tower Courtyard starting June 9th that will act as vendors. By interacting with those plaques, you'll be able to purchase a wide variety of rewards in exchange for a new currency, legendary marks. And yeah, I know, grown new currency, but yeah, this will probably be the last new currency. Legendary marks are earned by completing any triumph from Monument of Triumph. There is a ton to earn, including a selection of armor ornament sets, ghosts, ships and sparrows, skimmers, cosmetics, engrams, emotes, just so much goddamn stuff. If you want to learn more about literally anything we have gone over today, I'll have a ton of links down in the pinned comment for you to peruse. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in D2 on June 9th.